And alright guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another video on the self-developed YouTube channel. Let's get it going. How are you guys doing? Come on, baby. Today we have another reaction video, guys. I'll be honest, I thought I was done with these reaction videos, but I believe there's just too much going on in this corrupt world for me to just sit idly by and let it happen. So, with that, guys, I was stumbling across the Whatever podcast the other day, as it is very popular. You guys know this. No hate against them. I think there is definitely some good, but they brought on a guest and I don't know the guy's name. And essentially the clip that I saw, unfortunately, the two men, Brian and then this psychologist, I think that's what he was, were essentially just ripping apart marriage and explaining why there is no benefit, it's completely bad. And you know, we're in the end times when men who are supposed to be the leaders of the home, who are supposed to be the ones closest to God, are tearing this down. And then ironically, the women who are usually more of like feminists, you know, against it as well, they were the ones actually for it. So let's play some of the video, guys, and I will let you know what I think.
I'm with you. I'm not a big fan of marriage, and we can get into why that might be in a moment. I like having options. I remember, I'm also the child of divorce who is the child of divorce. It's like, I like the fact that I don't have to choose among the 4 women who live in my village. I like the idea that just because I had sex when I was 18 because I was a ball of hormones and I just needed to do something, that I didn't have to make a lifelong commitment to the person. I think that optionality is generally a good thing for both men and women because it facilitates getting into relationships where there's actually excellent fit between two people as opposed to just being limited by what's available. Now, optionality comes with a dark side, but I think that we actually live in a society that has unbelievable opportunity when it comes to entering into relationships these days.
Yes, this is absolute fact, guys. I'm not telling you that, you know, the first woman you see, settle down, get married. Of course not, guys. You should go smell the roses if that's what they want to say. Go experience, you know, all men need a phase of even, yes, red pill degeneracy. I do believe that. I'm against it, and I don't think that should be a worthy ideal, but I want to make it clear with this channel, I'm not saying that the first girl you see, you go marry her. No, we need options. This allows us to understand who we are, what we're looking for, to find a good match, kind of like with food, right? You know, okay, maybe I don't like Mexican food, maybe I like Chinese food, maybe I want more Greek. But the reality is, guys, and by the way, with that does not mean you have to have sex with these women to understand what, you know, flavor you want, or to move around the carousel, if you will. I would still recommend not fornicating, as that will probably deter you from making a logical choice. But what he's saying, guys, is there's a dark side to optionality. And I believe in these end times right now, this is the biggest deterring factor that's destroying the majority of relationships. You know, I actually think that there is a huge benefit of limited options, and I don't know the exact study, but there have been studies done on ice cream shops, believe it or not, where an ice cream shop, let's say, had 3 flavors, chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry, and a different ice cream shop had, let's say, 20 flavors. Guess which ice cream shop actually performed better as far as sales? The one with 3 options. And that is because human beings, believe it or not, actually do not do that well with a variety of options. And we know this because of what's happening in our society.
Now, when it comes to marriage, it's like, yeah, I've seen up close. My parents' divorce took 3 years. It was really tough. And I work with guys all the time who are going through divorces, and absolutely the liabilities of divorce disproportionately affect men, like without a doubt. But that's kind of the general argument that I hear from guys against marriage. It's just like, it's so risky. But I'm going to give another potential argument, which is, well, what do you get as a man from marriage that you can't get without getting married? Like just a few moments ago, you said you wouldn't risk it for the love of your life. And my rebuttal is, why can't you just love each other without getting married?
Yeah, so this is a great topic, and this is what the majority of people in the red pill community bring up. You know, there's no point of marriage. You know, why would I sign anything if I can just be in a relationship with this woman with the exact same values, the same perks, etc., etc.? Well, number one, that's because You can't. It's a sin, first and foremost, guys. And, you know, I'm sorry I have to get biblical here, but you are not supposed to cohabitate or fornicate with an individual outside wedlock. So just being in a relationship, but still having the exact same perks is false. That is a sin that is not glorified in the eyes of God. So, I mean, that's a huge reason right off the bat. Number one there, you're committing adultery. So that's huge. But number two, guys, you also need to understand statistically the chance of individuals, right? Like he's arguing, you know, being together and having all the same perks, just being in a, you know, loving relationship without the marriage, the stat of every negative repercussion skyrockets. So we're talking, if they do potentially get married further down the road, the chance of divorce through cohabitating and fornicating prior to that, like they were just in that relationship and then decide to get married, the chance of divorce skyrockets right off the bat. Number two, the stat of you having well-educated, loved, nurtured daughters and sons, right? Because he's saying, well, you know, just do the exact same thing, goes down tremendously. The chance of the father leaving goes out. Guys, there's reasons why marriage is difficult to get out of. If it was easy, the divorce rate would be extremely high and marriage would have no value. What marriage does is it creates a bond and a covenant for both you to commit to each other to essentially create a nest for the future generations. That's really the whole point of marriage. It's not, because I agree with him, like, if you're not going to have kids, then you should not get married. That defeats the whole purpose. The reason we get married, guys, is because spiritually, physically, and psychologically, it creates that nest for both of you guys to stick it out, stay together, which then greatly, greatly impacts your children, for them to see that there is a loving mother, a loving father. They are together. They are not polyamorous. They're not, you know, just hooking up here and there, and maybe, you know, if something better comes along, goes out here. And God forbid, guys, like the chance of them splitting because they're not married, because there's no covenant, there's no nest, like, you got to be real with yourself, is astronomically high. The second something hits the fan, both the mother or the father can simply leave because, like I said, optionality. There's a better ice cream flavor out. That defeats the whole purpose, guys. As men, we are not supposed to just ride the carousel because this ride's a bit more fun or a bit more shiny than this one. That's a very effeminate trait, and this is what we are lacking in our society today. A strong masculine presence, which, you know, sometimes is self-sacrificing. So let's get back to it.
Why can't you just love each other without getting married? What does love have to do with marriage?
What are you considering marriage? Paperwork? Like, what do you count as marriage? Because I didn't count my wedding dress or the wedding rings or the ceremony or the government paperwork as marriage.
Well, that's a wedding, yeah. So to me, a marriage is a civil commitment. And personally, I think the reason why marriages fail today is because it's a fundamentally very humble institution. Like, I think at heart, marriage is about creating a context in which to raise children. Like, I don't say, looking at a 55% divorce rate, there's absolutely no way that I would put my head in that noose. But divorce is also, it's good that it exists because it gives people an out of really difficult situations.
So I 100% agree with what he's saying, guys. Yes, it is good to have an out, but I would argue that the vast majority of divorces that happen are simply there because, I'll be honest with you guys, I take credibility as men. Men did not vet properly. They were fornicating beforehand, so they were not being sober and vigilant. They were not able to see this woman's character, and vice versa, right? The woman was not, you know, she was fornicating as well, so she was not really looking at this man. Is he following Christ? Is he a godly man? Guys, you know, it all begins before marriage. It begins in the courtship process, okay? So essentially what's happening is individuals are just, you know, and this is why marriage is getting such a bad rap. They're going into it completely blinded, just hoping, like kind of like betting on a casino that, oh, you know, maybe this will work, even though they're completely fornicating beforehand. They're not following God. They're not following Christ. They're not living a biblical lifestyle that God has promoted, which has enabled us to get this far in the West. And what's happening is because these prerequisites are not being met, when they do get married, well, of course you're going to get divorced. Like that's like, you know, buying a tiger from a zoo and saying like, oh, you know, we'll make it our pet. You know, I mean, they could kill us, but like, you know, maybe we can domesticate it. You don't, you know, we don't live on maybes, guys. You are objective and you are logical. You vet the tiger beforehand and you realize, you know what, this is not a domesticated or domesticatable animal. We don't take it in. As men, we have to be much more vigilant with this. We can't just jump into things, especially now because we have all these pretty flashy ice cream flavors. Men do not know what to look for. Women don't know what to look for in men, and because of that, our society is degenerating, guys. You need to understand that marriage and children is what has built our society and what will enable us to build our society. If we're all just single and mingling and pringling, our society is degenerate. It's weak. It's very malleable. There is no more agreement within people. There's no more community, and our society will collapse as it is right now. So I'm just upset that, like, grown men who should be very logical and smart like this are completely degenerating, you know, society. And I understand he had a bad example because unfortunately his parents and his grandparents got divorced. Does that happen? Yes, it happens, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean you as a man have to be a victim of that. Do you understand? Like, my dad died when I was young. Easily I could be like, I don't want to do anything with coaching men. I coach men because of that, the lack of father I had because of him dying young. So be proactive. Don't just be a victim from that.
Gotta be some space in the middle between, like, implementing divorce only under these really extreme fringe cases and 55% of the time. There is a great deal of space between those two places.
There is a great deal of space, and like I said, I think a big reason is male adultery. I think that would close the space in the same way you were saying it's a huge risk for guys, disproportionately for them, because women are the ones who usually initiate divorce. 50% of the time it's likely you're gonna get divorced. You could say the same thing for women. Like, 1 out of 4 chances that your husband's gonna cheat on you aren't necessarily attractive odds either, but guys don't really talk about that. They just talk about the fact that, like, oh, what's the point of getting into a marriage if the woman's going to divorce me? But they don't realize the fact that the woman already takes on such a huge risk as well in getting married.
Well, you mean in terms of infidelity?
Mm-hmm.
So guys, I'm honestly going to finish this video here. It just goes on for another like 8 to 10 minutes of both of the guys saying, you know, don't get married, etc., where the women are actually kind of promoting it, which is very interesting. That is not how it's supposed to be. At the end of the day, guys, I'm very empathetic and I have sympathy towards individuals who rushed into marriages and are now facing the repercussions. But the reality is, just because those individuals did that does not mean marriage in and of itself or godly relationships or following Christ is a bad thing or it doesn't work, guys. Now again, I am not married, so I cannot speak from direct experience, but I'm in the exact process right now pre-marriage, and I do plan to get married if it's in God's will within the next 1 to 2 years. What is this pre-process? Which is, yes, more important than actual marriage itself. That is you building yourself up as a man. This is monk mode. This is celibacy. This is abstinence. This is learning the word of Christ. This is being a biblically based man following leaders above you, being sober and vigilant, gaining discernment. So when women approach you or you naturally find them organically, you are able to test their souls. You come equally yoked, guys. They are following Christ just like you. They're understanding of these principles. You go into a business deal, guys, both at the same level, okay? You are agreeing on these fundamental ideals. You don't just sweep them under the rug because you're fornicating and you're having sex once or twice a week. No, you are being sober and vigilant. You are not fornicating in this process, in this courtship / vetting process. And I'm not just saying this for myself, guys. I'm saying this through experience, through research, and through speaking to married men in my community, which I'm very close with. This process of courtship can take anywhere from 8 to 12 months. Believe it or not, it's actually quite quick because you are both equally yoked. If you need more than that, then amazing. Take more than that. But again, guys, the point of this video is I'm upset at the current state of our community, of the manosphere, of, you know, whatever that is, where everyone is just pointing fingers at marriage, saying, it's not working, don't do it. And I get upset because they don't understand what will happen because of that. Our society is entering a population collapse here in the West, and the problem with that is our society without families, and therefore a strong society, will be malleable to controlling corruption. And that's the entire plot that these guys just are not able to see. You don't want to know what's going to happen. The rate at which we're going right now, this is all on par with a greater vision that is not in our best interest. So our one way to combat this is to come back home, follow God, and conserve what we have left, because yeah, we're definitely in the end times right now. So again, guys, you were either married or you were monk. If you don't get married, then you're on monk mode, and you are celibate, serving the Lord to the day you die. I know it's not fun, and that's what these guys don't get through their thick head, that life as a man is not always supposed to be fun. It is a sacrifice a lot of the times, and I would much rather choose that than live a degenerate lifestyle going to hell. So that is that, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will definitely do some more reaction videos. You let me know what videos you guys want to see below, and I will finish it there, all right? If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. If you guys are listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, let me know what's up. Give it a 5-star rating. You guys know what's up. You can always listen to these on there in case you guys don't have time to watch the full videos here. If you guys want to work with me, there is always one-on-one coaching. I would love to speak with you guys on a personal level at anything of what we talked about in today's video, becoming more biblically based as a man or on a more practical level, improving things like your fitness, business, mindset, and then relationships. And the step down is group coaching, guys. I do this once a month, take on a small group of men and coach them through 4 1-hour calls and a private Facebook group. Both options are below. You guys know what's up. You can support Edge, coupon code developed, guys, no longer Hammond. And that's it, guys. All right. I love you all. Let's continue to follow Christ and save our society from the shambles that it is entering. All right. Love you guys. Tag people below. See you then. Much love. Peace.